Your job will never outgrow you. No matter how talented, connected, or hardworking you are, the level of your personal growth determines the level of your professional success. Most people think that by working longer hours or chasing promotions, they'll rise higher. But the truth is your job doesn't grow you. You grow your job. The value you bring to your workplace, your relationships, and your life is directly tied to the person you're becoming every day. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give creativity, leadership, or inspiration if you aren't feeding your mind and spirit. The job you have today is a reflection of the person you were when you got it. The job you'll have tomorrow depends on who you're becoming right now. That's why working on yourself is not optional. It's essential. Personal development is not a luxury, it's your foundation. Without growth, even the best opportunities eventually collapse because you don't have the capacity to handle what you're asking for. Think about it. Every time you're promoted, every time your responsibilities increase, the real question isn't, can you do more work? It's, can you handle more pressure, more decisions, more uncertainty? The higher you go, the more your character is tested. And if your character, mindset, and emotional control haven't grown with your position, the very thing you prayed for can become the thing that breaks you. Growth is the invisible qualification behind every success. We live in a world that glorifies business. People brag about being exhausted as if it's a badge of honor. But business without growth is just movement without direction. You can spend years climbing a corporate ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. Working hard on your job gives you a living, but working hard on yourself gives you a life. The difference between the two is purpose. The job pays you in money, personal growth pays you in meaning. If you want to make more, you have to become more. Money, recognition, and success are not rewards for effort, they're reflections of value. And value comes from your mindset, creativity, emotional intelligence, and resilience. All things built through self-work. When you invest in your growth, you start seeing the same job differently. You approach problems as opportunities, criticism as feedback, and challenges as training. Suddenly, what once drained you begins to develop you. You become the kind of person people want to follow, not because of your position, but because of your presence. That's the power of inner work. You don't need to shout your worth. It becomes visible through your confidence, focus, and calm under pressure. You can't fake authenticity. You can't pretend to have emotional stability. These are the silent skills that elevate you in any environment. When you grow internally, the external world starts to respond to you differently. But growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from discomfort, reflection, and discipline. It's in reading the book after work when you're tired. It's in listening to your emotions instead of reacting to them. It's in having the courage to ask, what can I do better, instead of blaming others? Growth means showing up for yourself even when no one's watching. That's how you build inner strength, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. Every great achiever understands this. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, they all spend more time sharpening themselves than showing off their work, because they know that skill without depth eventually fades. The mind is like a soil. If you stop cultivating it, weeds grow. Negativity, laziness, fear, they creep in when growth stops. That's why personal development isn't a one-time event, it's a lifestyle. You don't need to be perfect to grow, you just need to be honest. Honest about your weaknesses, your distractions, your excuses. Because self-awareness is the birthplace of transformation. The moment you admit where you are, you create space for who you can become. You stop being defined by your job title and start defining yourself by your potential. And something beautiful happens when you grow from within. Your job starts evolving with you. New ideas come to you. Better opportunities find you. People notice your energy. You stop waiting for someone to promote you and start promoting yourself through excellence. The more you develop yourself, the less you depend on others for validation. Your confidence becomes your currency. So if you want your job, your income, your relationships, and your life to expand, start by expanding your mindset. Don't just learn new skills, learn new ways of thinking. Don't just chase growth in your career, chase growth in your character. Because at the end of the day, your job can only rise to the level of your personal evolution. When you make personal growth your real work, everything else naturally falls into place. The goal isn't just to get better at what you do, it's to become better at who you are. Because when you grow, your world grows with you. Skill can open doors, but character determines whether those doors stay open. In a world obsessed with performance, speed, and achievement, it's easy to believe that skill is everything. People chase certificates, collect degrees, and master tools, yet they neglect the one thing that truly sustains success, who they are when no one's watching. Skill may get you the job, but character is what keeps you trusted, respected, and remembered long after the applause fades. You can learn a new skill in a few months, but building character takes years of choices, small, consistent, often uncomfortable choices. Skills belong to your hands and mind, character belongs to your soul. Technology changes, industries evolve. The most advanced skill today might be obsolete tomorrow. But the principles of honesty, humility, courage, and discipline never expire. They remain your anchor when everything around you shifts. The truth is, the world rewards competence, but only follows character. You might impress people with your abilities, but you inspire them with your integrity. Think of the people you admire most, not the ones who are the most talented, but the ones who were the most grounded, authentic, and dependable. Talent may attract attention, but character earns loyalty. It's the difference between success that shines briefly and success that endures. Character is what you do when you could get away with less. It's how you respond when things go wrong, when you're misunderstood, when no one is there to clap for you. It's the quiet strength that holds you together when the world tests your patience, your faith, and your identity. Skill can make you efficient, but character makes you effective. It transforms mere talent into trustworthy leadership. Every workplace, every relationship, every dream will eventually test your character. You'll be tempted to take shortcuts, to impress instead of improve, to protect your image instead of your integrity. And in those moments, who you are matters more than what you know. Because skill may help you climb fast, but character keeps you from falling hard. Without character, success becomes fragile, built on ego instead of essence. You see it everywhere. Brilliant minds who self-destruct because their inner foundation wasn't strong enough to carry their success. People who were great at what they did, but not at who they were. The spotlight can be blinding if your inner light isn't bright enough to handle it. That's why working on your character isn't a soft skill. It's the ultimate strength. It's what makes you unshakable when everything else feels uncertain. Character isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. It's living in a way that your actions match your values. It's showing respect even when you're frustrated, keeping promises even when they cost you something, telling the truth even when lies seem easier. It's leading with empathy, not ego. These are not skills you learn in a classroom. They're built in the hidden moments, in daily choices, in silent disciplines that shape your spirit. When you focus only on skill, your growth becomes external. You collect achievements, but inside you stay the same. When you focus on character, your growth becomes internal and everything external begins to reflect it. You communicate better because you listen deeper. You work harder because you care more. You inspire others not because you want to be admired, but because you genuinely want to make a difference. The irony is that the strongest professionals are not those who know the most, but those who stand for something. People can sense authenticity. They can feel when you operate from principle rather than performance. In a world full of shortcuts, your consistency becomes rare, and rare things are valuable. Your character becomes your reputation, your unseen somme, the thing that speaks before you do. Skill makes you employable. Character makes you invaluable. Skills fade if you stop practicing them. But character deepens the more you live by it. It's a silent mentor guiding your decisions, protecting your peace, and defining your legacy. It gives you the strength to say no when the world pressures you to say yes, and the courage to stand alone when everyone else is sitting in comfort. So while others compete to be the most skilled, focus on being the most sincere. Learn, grow, master your craft, but never at the expense of your integrity. Your skills may help you win the game, but your character determines whether you deserve the victory. When people think of you years from now, they won't remember your job title or the tasks you completed. They remember how you made them feel, how you handled adversity, and how you stayed true to your word. In the end, skill builds a career, but character builds a life. And when the applause stops, when the trophies collect dust, and when titles no longer matter, the person you've become will be your greatest achievement. Because skill is temporary, but character is forever. We live in a culture that glorifies constant motion. We equate being busy with being successful, as if every moment of rest or reflection is a sign of weakness. But what if the opposite is true? What if growth doesn't come from doing more, but from thinking deeper? The most successful and fulfilled people aren't just the hardest workers, they're the most self-aware. They understand that execution without reflection leads to exhaustion without progress. Reflection is not a waste of time, it's how you make time work for you. You can spend years running fast in the wrong direction. You can fill your days with tasks and still feel empty at night. Execution without reflection is like rowing harder while facing the wrong shore. You might move quickly, but you won't move wisely. Reflection is the pause that gives meaning to motion. It's the moment when you step back to see if your actions align with your intentions. Without that pause, you risk becoming efficient at the wrong things. Every great mind in history, philosophers, leaders, artists, inventors, made reflection a discipline. They journaled, meditated, or took long walks alone. They understood that clarity is power. When you stop to reflect, you allow your mind to process, your emotions to settle, and your vision to sharpen. You start noticing patterns. What drains you, what fuels you, what matters most. You begin to understand not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it. In a job, reflection separates the worker from the leader. Anyone can follow instructions, but those who take time to think critically about their work, what's effective, what's wasteful, what could improve, become innovators. They turn experience into wisdom. Reflection turns activity into insight, and insight into mastery. Without it, you might work for years and still repeat the same mistakes. Reflection also builds emotional intelligence. It allows you to recognize your triggers, your reactions, your fears. Instead of being controlled by emotions, you begin to understand them. You stop taking things personally and start responding with purpose. The more you reflect, the less reactive you become. You make better decisions because you're not driven by impulse, but by intention. The challenge is that reflection feels uncomfortable in a world addicted to speed. We've been taught to measure our worth by productivity. We fear stillness because silence exposes what business hides, our doubts, our insecurities, our unmet goals. But those moments of silence are where real transformation begins. When you stop running, you finally hear your inner voice, the one that knows what truly matters. Imagine ending each day not just tired, but wiser. Imagine sitting quietly for 10 minutes to ask yourself, what did I learn today? What drained me? What inspired me? Where did I fall short of my values? How can I improve tomorrow? Those small moments of reflection create massive change over time. You begin to live consciously instead of mechanically. Even in the workplace, reflection breeds innovation. Companies that prioritize reflection through after-action reviews, debriefs, and brainstorming grow faster than those that only push for execution. When you reflect, you find smarter ways to do the same work. You reduce wasted energy. You spot opportunities others miss because they're too busy doing to think. In this sense, reflection isn't slowing down, it's strategic acceleration. Execution is about action. Reflection is about awareness. Together, they create wisdom. You need both, the drive to move and the discipline to pause. The pause doesn't stop your progress, it strengthens it. Think of an archer. Before releasing the arrow, they pull back the string. That backward pull, that moment of stillness, is what gives the arrow its power. Reflection is that pullback moment in life. When you invest time in reflection, you also invest in peace. You stop living in constant reaction mode. You stop letting external chaos dictate your inner calm. You learn to check in with yourself. Am I aligned with my purpose? Am I living my values? Am I growing or just moving? That self-check keeps your journey honest, because success without self-awareness isn't success, it's noise. Over time, reflection becomes your greatest teacher. Books and mentors can guide you, but only reflection helps you truly understand yourself. It turns pain into wisdom, failure into feedback, and experience into maturity. It's how you extract meaning from everything that happens to you. So, take time to pause, journal, meditate, sit quietly. Ask yourself powerful questions. Don't be afraid to meet your own thoughts. Because in those quiet conversations with yourself, you discover your truth. You find direction, strength, and peace that no external success can replace. In the end, it's not the hours you work that define your growth, it's the insight you gain from those hours. Execution moves you forward. Reflection ensures you're going the right way. When you balance both, your work stops being mechanical and becomes meaningful. That's how you transform not just your job, but your entire life. Jobs come and go, titles change, companies evolve, and industries rise and fall. But the habits you build stay with you. They are the invisible architecture of your destiny. While most people focus on what they do for a living, very few focus on how they live while doing it. The truth is, your job may end, but your habits continue to shape your future long after the paycheck stops. The habits you practice daily become the foundation of your character, and your character determines the quality of your life. When you rely only on your job for stability, you live in uncertainty. But when you rely on your habits, you live in power, because no matter what happens externally, promotions, layoffs, opportunities, your inner systems of discipline, focus, and self-mastery stay intact. Your job can be taken away, but your habits can't. They are the one form of security no economy can destroy. That's why working harder on your habits than on your position is the smartest investment you can make. Habits are the small decisions that create big outcome. It's not the single choice to go to the gym or read a book. It's doing it consistently that changes who you are. The person who spends 20 minutes learning daily eventually outgrows the one who works harder but never reflects. The person who starts their day with gratitude and focus approaches challenges with more peace and clarity. Your habits determine your mindset, and your mindset determines your reality. Think of habits as seeds. You plant them through repetition, and they grow into trees that bear fruit over time. You don't see instant results, but eventually they become your identity. If you develop habits of self-discipline, you'll naturally attract success. If you develop habits of procrastination, you'll naturally attract regret. Life doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you repeatedly do. Your job trains your skills, but your habits train your soul. Skills may help you perform better tasks, but habits help you perform better as a human being. A good job might give you comfort, but good habits give you confidence. They create a sense of stability within yourself that doesn't depend on any external circumstance. Because no matter what happens tomorrow, you know how to wake up early, stay focused, manage your energy, and keep growing. That's real freedom. To rely not on luck, but on your own consistency. Many people only build habits that serve their current role. They learn what's required and stop there. But those who rise higher build habits that serve their potential, not just their position. They create routines that make them stronger, wiser, and calmer. They read beyond their industry. They train their mind daily. They take care of their body, and they manage their emotions. These are habits that can't be outsourced or replaced by technology. They make you adaptable in any environment. A job might define your responsibilities, but habits define your destiny. When you make excellence a habit, you don't need someone watching over you. You work with pride because it's who you are. When you make honesty a habit, you build trust effortlessly. When you make curiosity a habit, learning becomes second nature. And when you make gratitude a habit, no matter how hard life gets, you always find peace in the process. Habits also protect you from burnout. Without structure, effort turns chaotic. You can't always control your workload, but you can control how you show up each day. A simple morning routine, a few minutes of quiet reflection, daily exercise, or a moment of appreciation, these small acts build emotional endurance. They remind you that you're not just an employee or a professional, but a human being with purpose and power. And when change inevitably comes, when you switch careers, start a business, or face uncertainty, your habits become your armor. You won't panic because your structure moves with you. You know how to create momentum from scratch. You know how to adapt, learn, and rebuild. That's what it means to be truly self-made, not someone who succeeds once, but someone who knows how to succeed again and again because the right habits are deeply ingrained. So build habits that outlive your job. Work as if you'll stay forever, but grow as if you'll leave tomorrow. Let your daily actions shape a version of you that can thrive anywhere, in any company, any country, any challenge. Because your habits are the real resume the world sees. They speak louder than your title, they outlast your achievements, and they create your reputation long after you've moved on. In the end, it's not your job that builds your future, it's your habits. Jobs can reward you once a month, but your habits reward you every day. They are the quiet proof of who you are becoming. So don't just work for a living, work for a legacy. Build habits so powerful that even when your job ends, your growth continues.